Next question.
So, what advice would you give low-budget filmmakers regarding, say, the script or the story?
I'm probably the wrong guy to ask about that. I don't write a script per se. I write a story, and I keep it to myself. I will, on the day of a shoot, I will say, X actor, this is what I want you to do. And obviously, your story, as Joe said earlier, this is what everything is built upon. But it's, I think everyone approaches it in a different way, and my way is probably not a way that works for most people. So I'm going to sort of refrain from.
So quite a bit of ad-lib, I guess.
A lot of ad-libbing. However, it's not. I do give people lines.
Right.
I just don't give them a piece of paper that says this is exactly what you were to say today. I like to kind of throw people into the situation. Here's a pool, swim in it, and if you drown, then I'll film it, and that'll be a great scene. And actually, my experience is that it works that way a lot. When an actor really has no idea what to do, that's the best thing that you can get out of an actor, I think.
Right. So that kind of answers my next question too, about actors in the crew, about how to. But it sounds like they're mainly ad-libbing it, and you're giving them lines.
It's ad-libbing is such a sort of it's a difficult sort of a thing because it sounds like I have no control over the dialogue, when in fact, I'm just by nature putting people in a situation and saying this is what happens, and then he comes in at this point. You're already sort of telling them what to say. You're just not giving them the exact words. So it's not really ad-libbing as much as it is just inhabiting the character that you're giving to the actor to work with.
Okay.
The thing about working with actors though is you have to keep them happy, and they can be very demanding. They can be very difficult to work with. They can bring everything to a halt if they take off, though. So you have to just, you have to keep them happy. You have to make them feel as if that they're important.
Yeah.
Even though they're not.
Okay.
I'm kidding. Some of my cast is listening to this right now.
So how about budget?
It's less important today than it ever has been, frankly. You can get any camera and go make a movie. And I think I'm not necessarily advocating the complete, throwing away of the idea that you have to have money to spend on making a movie. But I don't think that should stop you from making a movie if you don't have an uncle who's a millionaire. You should pick up a camera and shoot something, and you can quite probably make something interesting out of it if you know what you're doing. And the only way to know whether you know what you're doing is to just do it.
Sounds good. I'm going to skip over location because you kind of went over that with the glass silver.
Yeah, okay, I probably got ahead of myself.
Okay, and then let's say equipment, camera.
I think it's whatever you've got is what you should shoot with. Is
there a certain type of film you prefer, or?
I could care less, honestly. I mean, I'm a technical guy. I like gadgets. I can sit and obsess over a camera like the next guy. But what really matters is what you put in front of the camera, and the camera could be, anything that records video. You may find that you need to tailor what you're shooting a little bit to the format that you're shooting with, so that you don't come off looking as a completely amateurish jerk. But I think good movies can be made with any sort of gear you can pick up.
And how about sound?
Sound. There's this old saying. I believe it was Coppola, maybe even, who said this. Sound is it's 90% of what you see, or something like that. I may have the proportion wrong there, but it's obviously you. Sound is in a way more important than what the picture looks like. If if something sounds terrible, people will walk out. So, if I'm giving advice to your first-time filmmaker, don't skimp on that area. I think more people would be inclined to skimp, on the sound than the camera. But the other way around is probably better.
Okay. How about editing and post-production?
Get it over with as quickly as you can.
How quickly was your film?
I cut all throughout the process. I like to shoot and then go home and cut. And what I find that way is that I'm still in the mindset that I was in when I shot the scene in question, and I can get closer to something that works. I'll end up completely throwing that out sometimes and doing something else later. But I like to stay kind of on top of what I've just been shooting, and it makes that long slog of just sitting down and cutting at a computer every day for 9 months. It's sort of you're shifting that into the production phase somewhat, so it just makes it more pleasant on the back end of it. When you're done shooting, you may have like a fraction of what you would normally have to work with, and so it's helpful in a mental kind of a way that you're not sitting on top of this mountain of work.
Do you film in order, or do you like based on the story itself, or do you do a different scene every day?
It's ideally I would shoot roughly in sequence at least, just because the way that I'm doing this, where it's so sort of loose and there's an improvisational element, and the characters don't know necessarily where they're going to end. Like the actors don't know where the characters are going to end up. So part of the whole sort of reason that I shoot this way is to withhold information until the last moment. So ideally I would work that way. But in the real world, people are out of town for 2 weeks in August, or there's a little girl in the film, Kay Page Burns, and she went to see her dad for a month, and so you in practice can't really do that as much as you'd like. You have to kind of shuffle things around.
Right. Okay, and then distribution.
Yeah, it's. I think everyone who's asked a question along these lines keeps coming back to the same thing, which is we have all these opportunities we didn't used to have. There's iTunes, there's Netflix, there's things like that. However, you can't just throw something onto Netflix and hope that 1 million people will watch it, because 1 million other people are throwing things onto Netflix and hoping that everyone else will watch it. You have to kind of, at least at this point, you have to have some sort of stamp of approval from some sort of established kind of, whether it's critics, if you have good reviews from like critics that people respect, or if you play at festivals, there has to be some sort of mark of this is approved by the old kind of more traditional distribution system, because as I say, if you just throw it on Netflix, it's not going to go anywhere. So it's a very weird time. It's hard to know which side of that equation to balance. Like, do I want to put all my weight on the festival side? Do I want to just cozy up to a bunch of critics, or do I want to just throw it out there? You have to find somewhere in the middle, and it's I don't think anyone could really properly tell you what to do at this point in history. It's just sort of a lucky balancing act, I think, more than anything.
What are you thinking you're going to do with the film as far as distribution, or
both of those things?
Festival
I guess
circuit for now.
Yeah, for now, kind of play around. I think having people write about the film is huge. Just doing publicity like this, kind of coming on radio stations, talking to TV personalities. I think you just want to get it kind of out there into people's heads, and hopefully
get people to watch it.
Yeah, and it may be this sort of thing where I have to do 7 or 8 movies before anyone really sees anything, and by then I've just done this so much that it's that guy, and then go watch the movie. It's a weird time. I don't know what else to say.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and sum this up now. It's The Glass Slipper world premiere this Wednesday, 9:30 at the Rep.
It's actually next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday, the 9th.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you have another showing.
And then, the second show is on the 12th at Camera 12 at 2:30.
Okay, great. Thank you, Jarrod.
Thank you.